Now, believe it or not, there is something in these boxes, but what the heck, get on it. Well, hello, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. I couldn't resist that little bit of messing around there, making me look like Hercules. Anyway, in these boxes, I've been wanting to order, you probably guessed from the title anyway, I've been wanting to order some builder's buckets from Wilko's for a while, and every time I go in there's like one or two on the shelf, and I want 10 buckets. I don't want to be messing around with two here and there and everywhere. So just after Christmas, and I decided that I would just go and order them online and then click and collect. You know, you go down and pick them up. But when I got on there, I ordered them and I was going to click and collect, but delivery was only a £5, and I thought, well, for 10 buckets I'm only paying £1 each for them, £10 each, so £15 for 10 buckets delivered, I thought was brilliant, until I got this order with these 4 massive boxes. There's a whole jumble of packaging, excuse the rustling there, and in each box, well, there's 3 buckets in that one, and I'm assuming there's 3 in another, and then a couple of 2s, just to get the 10 buckets that I need. And anyway, we'll move on to what I'm actually doing with them and why I wanted some of them. I use a lot of these all around the plot anyway, but I wanted a few of them for another thing, which we'll move on to now. So this is the launch of the Builder's Bucket Challenge 2021, and essentially all it is getting a builder's bucket, because they hold 14 litres. You fill it with your growing medium all the way to the very top and level it off, and that's it. Then you've got a bucket of compost. And I say builder's bucket because they're dirt cheap. You can pick them up for £1 a piece. As you see, and I got 10 of them for £15, and that was delivered to my front door. To fill it with compost will cost you about £1, £1.50, something like that. And you know, that's probably as expensive as it's going to be. You can mix normal soil with it, or you can put perlite or vermiculite in it, or manures, you know, rotted down manures, homemade compost, whatever you want. If you want to put a couple of inches of gravel in the bottom to weight the bucket down, that's also allowed. But essentially it's 1 bucket of growing medium with no intervention from anywhere else, and to grow in these buckets. Now, there are 2 classes in this competition, and I will be awarding prizes at the end of this competition. The competition runs, I think I wrote it down already, down to the very end of September, and then about 10 days later in October I will announce the winners and award the prizes. And there are a few rules just to keep it fair for everybody else. You're allowed to put drainage holes in the bottom, because obviously it's a bucket, it doesn't come with them, and then there'll be a hole in my bucket, dear Liza. But there is no staking through the holes into the ground. Whatever you grow in these buckets must remain independent. They just sit flat. They can sit on soil, they can sit on a slab if you want, or on the edge of something if you like, on a shelf, on a bench, wherever you want, as long as it's on its base, with no intervention from anything else. So if you imagine I had a trellis here, there would be no putting it there and tying this into a trellis. If you want support for anything in here, the supports have got to be in the bucket. All the foliage of your plants have got to stay in the bucket. If it touches the floor, it's being supported, so you grow it upright. The 2 classes for this, on which the 2 prizes will be awarded, one is for the heaviest harvest, so whatever you can get it out, and that will appeal to the people who already grow in the 30 litre tubs and they grow potatoes in them, or people who grow carrots in buckets. They will be used to that, so that's covering that angle. And there are other things that you can grow that weigh. You might want to consider putting 4 or 5 stakes in there and wiring around it, and you could grow pumpkins up and around it, and squash, and those sorts of things, so you can get a harvest that way, as long as that remains flat on the floor and none of the foliage touches the floor either, and it's not tied in anywhere. Must remain on its own support. That's the challenge in this. It's just a bucket of compost and what you can grow in it. And the second class is for the prettiest bucket. So you might want to grow flowers in there, or some nice specimen melons if you like, you know, whatever you think looks pretty. So I'm going to fill these up and show a couple of ways that I've thought of that you can support your plants in here. I'm guaranteed that somebody will come up with something that I haven't thought of, and because you're all a creative lot anyway. But I'll do that now anyway, and then we can move on. Now with these three ideas, you can soon get a lot more ideas and a lot more creative than this. This is just thrown together on the morning. I've got some line pins here tied up with string. You could wrap more string around and you've got plenty of support. I think with the right supports in here, maybe a 1x2 bit of wood in there, that it would probably support pumpkins and squashes, and that would be a good way to go on this first one. The second one is just canes if you wanted to support your floral plants. I mean, you could have sweet peas growing up there. You can make a fantastic display with that for the prettiest bucket. And the last one there, you can take some soil out of your bucket and put it in a plant pot and support that up there, and you could have trailing plants coming down on there. So they're just a few ideas of what you can and can't do, but you see, none of it is being supported by anything else. It's all self-supporting, sat on its base, and essentially this this challenge is just about growing something in a bucket of compost. So this is the Builder's Bucket Challenge 2021, and it's open to everybody who's out there and who's got a channel. Now, if you're on YouTube, you already have a channel, that's part of it, and I will later show you guides of how you can upload to your channel. Now, when you're uploading your entries, if you can, try and upload a video that includes when you started it and during it as it's growing, and then obviously the final harvest at the end of the year. If you can't do the first two, that's fine, just do the end one. We're just looking for the entries. To judge it, I will either judge it all on my own, or I will find and form a forum of volunteers, maybe from the subscribers, maybe other channel creators. We'll see when we get nearer the time, and that's down to you guys and what you think. So that's how that will happen. So do think about joining in, and if you are joining in, make sure you put the hashtag, which will be up on the screen now, hashtag Builders Bucket Challenge 2021, and then we'll be able to find your entries nice and easily. Just put that hashtag in the title of your video, we're good to go. And all the information is underneath this video, all the rules that I thought of where people might try and cut corners and gain an advantage, because it is really just simply getting a bucket of compost and growing something in it. But you have to have those sort of little things in there because people try to gain an advantage, and there's nothing wrong with that in normals, but I want it a fair and level challenge for everyone to join in. So that's it. Enjoy this, and we'll see what happens through the year. Good luck everyone, and stay safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Ta-ra now.